should aspire for more. Connect with others who desire to aspire for more. Reach for your goals. When you do, you allow yourself to aspire for more. Dr. Tammy is here to help you aspire for more. Aspire for more.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Journey Toward More, where we discuss topics that will help you manifest more. Manifest more of what is for you, more of what you desire, more of what is aligned with who you are, more of what honors you on your journey toward more. I am your host, Dr. Tammy, life strategist, literacy educator and consultant, author and speaker, and today we're talking about decisions, the power of a decision. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how much this topic has been just coming up. And actually, I originally had it on my list to do a few other topics. Like there were other things ahead of this one. But this one kind of moved to the forefront because if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, please do, because you'll notice that there was a theme. There was a theme resonating in the stories I told and what we talked about decisions and how that was a big part of even those topics. And I began to think about this topic and why it means so much to me to really, push it up in this series. Because of course you'll hear the other ones in upcoming episodes. But I realized that decisions is what move us from inaction to action. Decisions are what propels us into what we desire and more of who we are. Decisions is that one thing that typically holds us back, or the lack of making a decision holds us back. And I started thinking about the different things that I've had to make decisions about recently, and how until I made a decision, there was not action. I was stuck. I was there. And it's the decision that changed. There's so many of us that are indecisive about things. We hesitate to make a decision about things. And it puts us in this space where we're stuck, where things don't happen. I remember, in my early 20s, I'm not going to say how long ago that was, but I remember telling people, I am the most indecisive person. And then they asked me a question, and then I knew what I didn't want, and I knew what I wanted. But I remember claiming that, and that's not something you want to claim, by the way. So it's been work for me to do the mind work and the mind shift from that. But I even remember that when I finished my last degree and I got that diploma, I thought, this is it. But I realized that no, it wasn't. I wanted to do more. But I was groomed, I was conditioned, I paid attention to societal clues and cues, and all of them said, you're supposed to go to school, go to work, get a job, right? Stable income, do that thing. But I realized that wasn't all that I was about. That wasn't all that I wanted, that wasn't enough for me. That what I had envisioned for my life was so much more, so much greater. And I realized that for a few years there, I did that. I did it well. I worked. I, served the community. I did my thing in that space. But it still wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And I realized what I was doing is I wasn't making the decision to go after what I wanted. I was making the decision to do what was acceptable and what was traditional instead of what I desired, what I wanted. And so I was stuck. I wasn't stuck meaning I wasn't growing, but I was stuck in that I wasn't moving toward what I really wanted, what I really desired. I wasn't moving. And, I love what I do. I always have. Teaching is my thing. Teaching is in my blood. I can teach anything that I know about. Let's clarify, right? That I know about, that I have knowledge of. But I can break down things, and I knew that I was good at that, but it still wasn't enough. And I really had to do some self-reflection and some evaluating and realize what was going on. I wasn't making a decision. I wasn't making a decision on what it is I wanted to do, what would put me where I wanted to be, where I knew I needed to go. I wasn't making a decision to go for it or not go for it, if that was it. But I wasn't making a decision, and I knew I had a choice. I knew that what I could do was possible. I knew what I could do was something that would really put me in a creative space, but I wouldn't make the decision to do it. There's something about indecisiveness, is this not settling on something. And so you feel like you're in limbo. You have anxiety that comes with it. You stress out about, what am I going to do? What should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? Some people even go into a depression because they're just like, I don't know what to do. So their action and activity is stifled, and their creativity is stifled, and they just stop. It affects sometimes our ability to function socially, because it's like, because we're having this internal battle. There's something going on. Indecisiveness cuts us off from possibilities, from what's possible. We start questioning what it is we want to do. We stop thinking of what we can do. It puts us out in this, what I call, in the wilderness, where you're confused, you're lost, you don't know what to do. You're in this dark space because you're indecisive. You won't make a decision. I wouldn't make a decision. And so in order to change that, I had to make a decision, because a decision is a conclusion. It's a resolution that you come to after you've went through the careful consideration. There is a decision-making process. Making that decision is a commitment. It means you have committed to something, and now you have determination to reach towards something. A decision is action. It's that process of deciding on something and resolving a question that you have. It's formal. It formalizes what you are going back and forth about, what you're in limbo about. Decisions are the catalyst for turning our dreams into reality. It's the catalyst for pushing us to our next. It's the catalyst for getting us going and out of the wilderness. It is the catalyst that makes the energy that's flowing in and around us through us to not just sit there, but to move. Decisions are powerful. There's power in a decision. And there's a process. Like, to make a decision is a process. The decision making itself is a cognitive process. It's a process that results in a choice. You choose something. So let's talk about the decision-making process. You identify your goal, whatever that is, what decision you need to make, what choices you have. What is that goal? What is that decision? You research it. We gather information, right? We ask people. We find relevant information. We do that. We even weigh the pros and cons based on the evidence we found. We explore our options. And then that's where we stop. That's where we stop. That's where we get stuck. We do all these things, all these options. I remember, like I was saying, I remember that I applied for different jobs in different industries that was closely related to my degree and what I was interested in. I remember doing all that. I remember even thinking about entrepreneurship and what is that and how does that look for me and is that the path for me? I remember looking at the pros and cons of both those situations. I remember doing all that. But then it stopped right there. Like, I just got the information. I just got it. I started thinking about it. I asked everybody and I just wouldn't make a decision. And so that's where we get stuck. That's where the fear sets in. That's where we start having anxiety. We start being stressed out. Depression, if that's something that you're prone to have and do and be, is depressed, then that sets in. Like, all of that sets in at that step number 3, gathering information, weighing the pros and cons, and looking at that evidence, going back and forth about that. That's why indecisiveness is, you're in limbo, because indecisiveness happens at this point right here. Indecisiveness happens when you're weighing your pros and cons, not when you're identifying a goal, not necessarily when you're researching and gathering information. Step number 3, where you're weighing the pros and cons. And that's where we get stuck. But if we just move to step number 4 in this process, and that is making that decision, taking action, it propels us into our next. Then after you make that decision, you can weigh, okay, what were the consequences of this decision? You can evaluate and review the decision. What do you think about it? You can go from there. But most of us don't even get there because we refuse to make the decision. To make a decision requires action. You must act. My platform is all about taking action. And if you're not willing to make a decision while we are working together, what is our work? Right? You must be willing to make a decision. You must be willing to take action. Because with the decision comes action. Because if you do not take action with the decision, is it really a decision? Have you really made a decision if you don't show me what that looks like? If you don't show yourself what it looks like? If I don't show myself what that looks like, is that really a decision? So a decision is action. Decision requires action. It does. It does. Getting to and getting through that step number 4, making a decision, is powerful. That's where your power lies. That's where your dream becomes more real. That's that point. But most of us And those big things, we can make decisions if we want milk or juice, but those big decisions on, do I want to just be a professor? Or do I want to be an entrepreneur? Do I want to pursue this business that is unpredictable, unstable, and I don't have the inkling of what I'm doing? I don't know what in the world I am doing. Am I going to go for it? To get to and through that point is so powerful. And it is so important to you moving in the direction of more and preparing for what's next on your journey toward more. That's it, y'all. It's the decision. You know, and I've always had the platform of being a catalyst. And I had an aha this week. I had an aha when this topic had to be today's topic. Is that the decisions are the catalyst for turning our dreams to reality. Decisions are the catalyst for us achieving and doing what we desire, what we want. It's the decision. We got to make a decision. We can't stay in limbo. We can't dwell there. That is not for us. To not settle on something and be indecisive, which also brings confusion. No. That's not for us. That's not for you. I don't know what you're wrestling with. I don't know what's going on in your life. I know there's a lot going on in my life, and I know there's a lot I'm wrestling with, which I'm sure 2019 I will share it with you as it unfolds and as I get clearer about it. But I know that if there's something you desire and you're thinking, I want it, but it just seems so far away. It just seems so far out of reach. If you look at it deeply, if you look at it closely, it's probably a decision you need to do. That's probably what you need to do, is make a decision, is choose, decide. That's what you need to do. Why, Dr. Tammy? Why? I'm okay. It's comfortable here. One, you don't want to dwell in comfort. We grow when there's discomfort. But I'll share why. When you make a decision, it creates a space for you to focus and for direction. When you make a decision, it creates a space for focus and direction. And that's what you need to achieve your dreams, your goals. That thing that's burning in the pit of your belly. Number 2, when you can't learn, you can't grow if you never make a decision. Number 2 is we learn from our decisions. Decisions are what we decide something and we get to that point. Step number 5, where you evaluate and review your decision. If you get to that point, then you can learn from that decision. And experiences, whether they're good or bad, informs your next decision, your next move on your journey. Number 3, as I said earlier, decisions require action. So what does that mean? That means that it forces us to do what we've been putting off. It forces us to finally take that first step. You probably heard the quote. I wish I knew who quoted it, but I don't. Every journey starts with one step. And in my space and on my platform, it is a decision. It's a decision. It's making a decision. And number 4 is probably the most profound, I think. And I have to really tell myself a couple of... And the last one is the most profound. It's your conclusion, not your condition that determines where you end up. I'll say that again because I like this. I like this. I want you to hear me. I want you to feel it. If you need to write it down, write it down. Here it goes. It's your conclusion, not your condition, that determines where you end up. So no matter where you are in this decision process, no matter what happens at the end of it, it's your conclusion. And I said earlier in the definition of decision, it is a conclusion. It's a resolution. So number 4 is it's your conclusion, not your condition, that determines where you end up. So wherever you are at the end of making that decision, that is what's going to propel you into your next. That's what's going to send you where you need to go. So just remember that your decision is something that you learn from and you grow from. So if you just get to and through that point to make a decision, you will discover the power that you'll create, the momentum you'll create in moving you in the direction of more. So just to recap, decisions are the catalyst for turning our dreams into reality. It creates a space for us to focus in our direction. It even presents an opportunity for us to learn from that decision. Whatever experiences come from that decision, good or bad, we learn from them and grow from them and ready to move to the next thing. It requires action. It forces us to do what we've been putting off and to actually act. And remember, it's your conclusion. It's where you end up. It's reaching those goals, achieving your dreams, carrying out that vision that you've put in your playbook. That is more important than the condition where you are. So you can't evaluate your condition and think this is how it's going to always be. If you're moving and you're doing things to propel you in the direction of more, you may surprise yourself. You may actually find that you grow and you move in the direction of more. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to listen to this podcast. I invite you to follow me on social media at Dr. Tammy Francis is my handle on all platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of them. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. I encourage you to definitely listen to previous episodes of this podcast, Journey Toward More, and join me for future episodes. Just never know what the topic's going to be, because even though I have a plan, it's what's given to me that will show up. So this week, what do you need to decide? What decision are you putting off? What is it that you need to act on? What is that thing? What is the one thing you will decide on today to help you move forward? Evaluate what is holding you back. What are you afraid of? Is there even a choice? Choose, decide, because decisions are the catalyst that will help us reach and achieve what we want and desire. Take care, enjoy, and I will see you soon, hopefully on social media, or you'll hear me soon here on this podcast. Have a great week. Enjoy the rest of your day whenever you're listening to this, and remember to aspire for more.
stuck in life, you should aspire for more. Connect with others who desire to aspire for more. Reach for your goals. When you do, you allow yourself to aspire for more. Dr. Tammy is here to help you aspire for more. When you believe in yourself, anything is possible. Believe in yourself, you'll get more. You should aspire for more. Aspire for more. You should aspire for more.